What's happening, everybody? TK here, TK and Drinks, Tuesday Night Live. We got another. Oh, it's not an interview tonight. It's a special TK and Drinks Tuesday Night Live. Tonight, we're gonna have a double header live review of a couple different meads. Ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, 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 boom. From our cat, John, the Mad Meader Duncan, over there at Willow Meads there in Ohio. I did not catch the name of his town, and I always do that, unfortunately. Yeah, so one thing I did forget, I have to get into it real quick, is a bottle opener. So y'all gonna see me jump off camera real quick, but I'm right here. I'm just grabbing the bottle opener, if I can find one. Holy cow. So we found a pocket knife, and that'll have to do for a way to pop those open. And yeah, so anyway, Mansfield, Ohio. So anybody in the Mansfield, Ohio area, hook up or look up Weeping Willow's Mead. Get on there on the Facebook, on the Instagram. The main reason, the main way you can get a hold of John there is over at the Micro Meads and Brews Facebook group. So you check this out, man. You're gonna go on the Facebook. You're gonna do the searching for the Facebook groups. You're gonna do searching for Meads, Micro Brews, home brews, any of that stuff. You're gonna see this logo, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna send a request out to join. And what you're gonna do is you're not gonna bring any negative attitude. You're gonna bring a positivity. You're gonna bring like an enlightenment to learn, a willingness to enlighten others into the ways of mead making, you know, some experiences you may have, any of that type of stuff. So when you see this logo, you know that you're going to be getting some high quality content, some high quality information, and if nothing else, some experienced information and some experienced content from people who have put the time and energy in to try to help and build up a Facebook group community of home brewers and mead makers who want to support each other and try to just get the best overall product out to either their friends in a commercial way, because they're most definitely not exclusive of commercial people. So if there's anybody that's you know, producing on a micro level but on the commercial level as well, please feel free to join and benefit from the knowledge, and also help improve the group by adding your knowledge to the community and everything like that. So says, yo, you rocking that boon? Oh, of course I'm rocking the Boondocks hat. If you know, you know. It's your boy right there. So, like I said, go on the Facebook groups, search Meads, search home brews, search home mead makers, search mazers, all those things, and we see the Micro Meads and home brews group. Just realize that we're family by shield, not by birth. I can't remember if it was birth or blood. I can never remember. That was the big thing. But yeah, so remember, you see the group, know that you're amongst family and other like-minded individuals there. So, later on this evening, probably in about 15-20 minutes, maybe a half hour, about halfway through the show, we're going to be joined by Carlos from Texas Longhouse Meads. And him and I are going to get into a double BJCP review live right here on the TK and Drinks channel. And the Carlos Texas 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 Longhouse Mead channel as well. I forget he'll be oh, and speaking of the devil, as I'm sitting here laughing, he joined in. No man, he must have got home quick. So this cat was at minutes. He must have pressed the kids like, no, you need to finish this football game early. Y'all better win. Dad's got business to do tonight. So get that shit wrapped up quick so Dad can be at home for the meat business. Is that about how it went down, Carlos?
What's that?
So is that about how it went down? You have the kid at the football game, and you're like, hey, you need to wrap this up quick. Y'all need to win. No ties tonight, no BS. We need to wrap this up. Daddy's got business to handle tonight.
Yeah, pretty much. After all, it is Texas, you know. Football comes first.
Hey, man, I'm surprised y'all doing something on Tuesday. I always thought it was Friday Night Lights out there.
Well, that's for like the high school. Right now, my kid's in middle school, so.
Oh, take it when you can get it type of thing. If it happens to be Tuesday evening, then so be it.
What's going on, boss? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, brother. How you been, man? I see you picked up some new videos going on out there. You got some new brews going on.
Yeah, I got I got quite a few going. I just got my Bochet Acer Glen. I just got that into a barrel.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to start a experiment. I got 2 other people that are giving me a hand. It's a Bochet experiment that's in the works. Hopefully, should finish that up in about a month or so.
Nice.
Yeah, you know.
Now, how are you have any videos about how you're bocheting your honey that people can go check out or anything like that, or any little tips on how you're doing the bochets?
On my channel, I actually have the recipe for my double metal oak Bochet Acer Glen.
There it is.
Got I got 3rd place at Orpheus and 2nd place at Dahmer's Cup.
So I know you got some new hardware recently. Yeah, so anybody who's looking for information on that stuff, definitely go check out Texas Longhouse Mead channel over there on YouTube and scope out those recipes and other award-winning or potentially award-winning recipes.
Close. I was supposed to have my Malbec video up, but she's still sitting right there, so that'll be a little bit. But scored a 40 with that one at the Valkyrie's Horn. And
Nice.
at Major Cup, I got a 36. I got some feedback on it, and they, some of it was a little bit. They said it was too much more like wine than it was like mead. The Malbec flavor definitely comes forward on it. I love Malbecs, but it's literally half the fermentables are Malbec and half the fermentables are from avocado blossom honey. So
Gotcha.
yeah, it's I think if I add a couple more points post fermentation of avocado blossom, I think that'll help bring that mead aspect forward and hopefully score higher and
Gotcha.
better. So yeah.
Mead and the Hammer is asking, are those all silicone airlocks you got going on back behind you?
Now I got a couple bubble ones, but
Okay.
for the most part, yeah, I run silicone airlocks on anything that's in secondary. They're not like the normal airlocks that have like a little gap. These are like tight. So I know some people. I've talked to some people they said that in secondary after you stabilize, the metabisulfite actually has the ability to escape out, and so it will lose its potency a lot quicker versus bubbler. But I haven't had any issues with these ones yet. Knock on wood. So.
Yeah, no joke. That was one thing I was always curious about, is why everybody goes with the airlocks in secondary versus like just like a like a pressure sensitive cap you could technically like burp every once in a while or something like that, to help alleviate any pressure that was built up in there. Because it seems like the airlock in secondary is almost again, with my rudimentary level of knowledge, is almost I say unnecessary step, but an overkill step.
Well, for airlock and secondary,
Some aliens everywhere.
Compared to what you were talking about earlier, where having something that you burp, in post fermentation secondary, whatever you want to call it, you want to still allow the CO2 that's in the mead to be able to escape out, because if you keep it in there, it's going to keep the acidity and that it has. And if you've ever drank a mead that is finished fermenting and like take a drink of it like a week later, it still has some bubbles in it because there's still trapped CO2 in it. So putting it under airlock lets that CO2 come out.
Oh, definitely. I guess that was kind of, my thought was more if you were just like a diligent, you were like kind of paying attention just every 24 hours over there to like burping some gas out of it or something like that. Yeah. But I guess that's not for everybody. It kind of serves the same purpose ultimately.
You got to remember too, I'm guilty of it, but a lot of meat makers were lazy. So.
Bro, I think lazy is my middle name. I'm pretty sure TK, the K stands for lazy with a silent K at the beginning.
So.
I appreciate you showing up tonight, brother. I always enjoy when you show up on the channel, my man.
Yeah, I'm here. I sit at home 24/7 and do nothing but meat stuff. So
Nice. Well, definitely, like I said, appreciate you showing up tonight and everything. So earlier this week, I would say about 2 or 3 days ago, or today is what, Tuesday, so probably over the weekend, I guess would be a better way of putting it, I received a package in the mail. It had a couple bottles and this phenomenal sticker, which I see back, you got right over there on that bottle right back. Yeah, it's the one, yeah. So our buddy over there at the Facebook group, Micro Meads and Brews, John, the Mad Meader Duncan, he sent me a couple different cysers. I got a maple raspberry ciser called Old Smoky Ciser. This one's maple raspberry, and I got another one called Old Smoky Ciser Maple Cinnamon. Is that the ones you got?
yeah, right now I got the maple cinnamon. I got the maple raspberry in the fridge right now.
Roger that. Yeah, my fridge is a little far away, so I grabbed them both out. But awesome. So I'm glad that we both got the same ones, so we can at least get one of them thrown down the hatch and get some points on there. Now, if memory serves, just for people who are maybe new to the channel and everything like that, I'm a recent BJCP certified judge, and you've also taken your test already and are just awaiting results from your BJCP certification.
Yeah, I passed the written, and I just did the tasting exam up at Valkyrie's Horn.
Right.
They were all excited when I showed up because I was number 6 for the exam. So
So how many cats were in your exam over there?
6.
There was 6 of you guys. Okay, so and were you all there specifically for the mead exam, or were there other cats there doing other stuff as well, like cider or beer exams as well? I imagine probably not, because it was at Valkyrie's Horn.
Yeah, no, it was just all mead guys. There was
Nice.
one guy, just because I saw it on the shirt, who was a BJCP beer judge, and so of course he's there getting his mead exam. But again, everybody was there for Valkyrie's Horn.
Very
I
cool.
was literally there less than 12 hours. I literally flew in to take the exam and flew right back out. So
I was gonna say, I saw you post it. I didn't realize that you were literally just there to get the test done and pop back out of town. I'm assuming you had like work or other obligations.
well, it was also it was my birthday on the 7th, and I want to say the exam was like on the 8th or 9th. So, had already plans for the weekend, celebrate my birthday, because the week after was Mazer, and I was supposed to actually go to Mazer to take the exam, but because Mazer got canceled,
Right.
I had to scramble last minute and fly out there, and luckily I did, because I was number 6, and my understanding is in order to have the test sit, there has to be 6 examinees. So I was number 6.
Oh, dude, I feel super lucky then, because there was only 3 people at my exam, but I mean, maybe they made exception because it was, COVID year or whatever. But man, I'll tell you what, I would not have been taking my test if that was the case. Holy shit, brother. So yeah, I mean, I guess awesome for moving it up to Valkyrie's Horn. Did you have to change any flights or anything, or was that all kind of predetermined?
No, because I got family that lives in Kansas where Mazer was this year, and so I was just going to drive up. It's only like a 5.5-hour drive for me versus the 12-hour drive or whatever it was to Valkyrie's Horn.
Minneapolis. Yeah.
So I just flew out there, rented a car, and then went and took the exam. Then, I thought I was just going to go back to the hotel and, meet up with a couple people there and have drinks, but I was fortunate enough that I got invited out to one of the local members' houses there, and so I got to meet a lot of, I won't say idols, significant people in the mead community. I got to meet and have some drinks with Vicky Rowe, Kevin, Josh Holbrook, Nathan Stegman. So I had a really good time. And then those cats that have the meadery that just opened up in Washington, up on the little island, I forget what they're called.
Jeremy up there at Herifont.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude, Jeremy, and oh crap, it's gonna kill me right now, and she's gonna fucking murder me when she sees this. But yeah, Jeremy and his wife up there, unfortunately, yeah, they're some great cats, and it's phenomenal. Yeah, so yeah, man, those cats up there. Anybody who is into like botanical meads, anything like chamomile, mushrooms, herbals, anything like that, go scope out Hierophant up in Washington because they definitely do it big on that. You can even get into their 2 different meaderies, and they've got like a herbal wall where you can go buy the same like herbs and stuff that they use in their meads and buy in bulk for your meads too. Which fucking legit as fuck. All right. So, which one of these meads you want to get into first? So I've got an official score sheet here. I'm not sure if you have any score sheets or anything like that.
Nah, got home and hopped on real quick.
No worries, my man. I didn't fill it out yet. I just figured we'd just do a quick little rundown for John. He was most interested just to hear what we have to say for his stuff anyhow. But I do like to try to keep it a little bit official for my channel just because I keep track of this stuff. But, so which one do you want to do? Do we want to do maple raspberry? You said you had the maple cinnamon one out, so we'll do that one first. So, this is what I got my maple cinnamon on from John the Mad Meader Duncan. All right. So, if I'm going with visual first impressions, what are you thinking there, Carlo? I'm thinking I got the Holland 1893 bottle. I'm like, man, I'm wishing you would have at least taken the time to peel the label off the bottle.
You know, sometimes like you can tell he definitely tried, but sometimes just these labels don't come off, and you got to run with what you got.
Hey, that's the case, my man. I didn't get a try on either of mine, so I guess that kind of skewed my. So you got a try on your. Okay, so it is what it is, man. The free 12-ounce bottles is what they are in that instance. Not free, but free.
Yeah.
What's up, Yorktown, Gandalf? Thanks y'all for appreciate you joining up. Ooh, man, I get maple heavy off the right off the nose. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that maple is definitely straight away heavy, and ooh, a little bit of cinnamon.
Well, mine's a little bit colder than yours probably, and when it's cold, you can definitely get the cinnamon, and I get the cinnamon first. The maple comes through.
Okay.
I get like tints of vanilla, some like star anise.
Yes, definitely much almost like it almost has like a Chinese spice. Like I get a little bit of clove, I get a little bit of star anise, I get a little bit of ginger, I get a little bit of cinnamon. Yeah, definitely. Definitely digging that. I think I overfilled my glass, but from what I can see, I'm definitely getting a little bit of legs on there. How about yourself? You got a bigger glass. I've got a 3-ounce glass.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really see that, but mine is definitely it's leggy as hell. So, yeah.
Yeah, from what I can see from the pour, anywhere where it was on the glass and it no longer is, it's still there.
Yeah.
So I'd definitely say it's super leggy in that same regard. And yeah, I guess at this point I would say in the nose I'm catching more of both the like the cinnamon and maple almost in like equal parts.
Yeah.
I like the cinnamon because it comes across like a fresh like cinnamon bark or like cinnamon sprigs, not like a cinnamon extract or cinnamon candy, anything like that.
No, definitely. And I'm like not a whole lot of people know, but well, a lot of people actually do know, but don't know. There's actually several types of cinnamon. You have a spicy cinnamon, you have sweet cinnamon. The sweet cinnamon is often referred to as true cinnamon or Ceylon cinnamon, and then you'll get into the Vietnamese, Saigon, Indian, and those are all spicy cinnamons, like Jaeger.
Got you.
So
like that earthier, like rootier, spicy, like horseradish type of spicy cinnamon versus something that's like the sweeter.
And like for me, it almost seems like it's a spicy cinnamon, but that's just the way it's coming off. It could just be the way everything's playing together. It seems like a spicy cinnamon, but
to me, it almost, this might just be my own personal experience. It almost effervesces in the way of like a potpourri, but like in the best ways possible. Like again, like a sweet cinnamon, like that sweet clove. It's not like it's something that was refined down to like its elements. It's like this nice, light, airy effect of those elements.
Yeah.
I'm digging that.
So
all right.
For me, just because it's easy, and like every time I look at the score sheets, it always trips me out how like appearance is below aromatics, because the first thing you do, you're gonna pour it into the glass, but you're gonna see it. So,
right?
Yeah. So
100.
like when I judged Mead Stampede, that was the first thing I did. I pour the cinnamon, or not pour the cinnamon, excuse me. Pour the mead out and look at it, and that'd be the first score I give is appearance. So
right. And it makes sense as it's also the lowest value score, by points value and everything. So it makes sense to do that one first. Like you said, it's visual. I'm not quite sure why they do it that way, but I agree. It definitely is something that I've noticed is like it seems awkward and kind of out of place otherwise.
So like I know for some people, like competition wise, you're trying to get points. Clarity's, hey, you're trying to get points, but I've had several commercial meads where they're hazier than all get out, like that you can't even see through them. Yeah. But clarity isn't everything except for competitions, and unless you're looking for something clear. So
now let me ask you a quick question about that. So, like, what about cats that don't refine, say, using, like, super clear or something like that, versus cats that do? So there's a meadery here locally that was selling bottles, and these things had anywhere from a finger to 2 fingers of sediment sitting at the bottom of it. And they said, oh, you just shake that up at the bottle and drink it that way. Like, I'm not quite sure, like, it's going to add to or take away from the flavor that way, but it just seems like a very, it didn't seem like the best practice to go for. Like, if you're going to leave it, like, unclarified, just, like, leave it unclarified and let it be hazy all the way through. Yeah. Don't do, like, a combination of the two, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for me, like, I don't know if you can see, like, this one back here, I got 2 peach meads back here.
Yeah.
One of them is clear, the other one is hazy. The hazy one, I added the fruit in primary and fermented all the fruit in primary and let it go that way. And the other one that's clear, the brighter one, I added the fruit. I added a little bit of fruit in primary and then the rest of it in secondary. The one with the secondary fruit cleared. That primary one will not absolutely clear. I've tried bentonite, I've tried super clear, I've tried cold crashing.
Oh, really?
Aside from filtering, which I don't have.
Right.
I'm really, I've done everything I can to it. Like I treated everything with the Lalazyme EXV, so that way, it breaks down the
all the chemicals.
Yeah, I ain't scared of them. So
I love you, brother. You're awesome.
And so it just won't clear. So,
right.
But I let it sit, let all the sediment come out, and it's been sitting there for 3 months now. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and bottle it, and hey, it's gonna be hazy, but you're not gonna have that sediment that I think you posted a picture of it before, and that's definitely a no-go for me. Like just seeing that, like if it's hazy, if it's hazy, fine. But if it's clear and then you got the sediment at the bottom, that
right. You did. There was something that went wrong. If you got sediment settling in the bottom of the bottles.
I wouldn't say something went wrong. I imagine they probably try to flavor it, and then after they mixed it, put a puree in there, mixed it all up, and bottled it, and it's a puree that's coming out, which does have the flavor, but the meat should also be flavored already so that you can filter out that puree. So
quick question, go back here a little bit. It says Gandalf the Mead said, is the cinnamon profile different, and is the cinnamon profile different for primary or versus secondary? I've never worked with cinnamon in either profile, so unfortunately I don't have anything to add to that. But have you?
Yeah, I've done both.
Sure.
It's very minimal, unless you experience a lot with it. You're really not going to notice a difference in it, because it's very minimal. The flavor does change a little bit. It becomes a little bit more woody, in my opinion, versus like a cinnamon. I prefer it in secondary, just so that way you get the full roundedness. And cinnamon has a tendency, even though in mine I've noticed that sometimes it gets stronger, but cinnamon does have the tendency to fade out. Which, like some flavors, it's not that it fades out, it just mellows the longer it sits, and so you lose the intensity of it. So
becomes a lot softer.
Yeah, so I prefer it in secondary, so that way it you get the full cinnamon of it versus you're like,
Is it there? Is it not? I gotcha. So Gandalf said, I had a braggot with sediment that when you stirred it up, it added to the flavor. Yeah, and like you were saying, with maybe it wasn't necessarily like yeast fallout or like super clear sediment. It could have very well just been the sediment from the fruit purees and all that stuff, from filtering it, but not having a fine enough filter to get everything out of there. So it got some, but not all. You know, I again, and when I'm buying something at the store, I try not to judge it on the same level that I am in like a commercial judging competition, because, you know, it might not have been their style at the time, but I guess it was just something that was unsettling, and maybe even unsettling is a bit strong of a term. It was just something that was off-putting by seeing bottles sitting there with, you know, a good chunk of sediment at the bottom, knowing that you either had to shake it up and drink it, knowing it might be Lee's and give me the bubble guts, or at best case scenario, it's just fruit sediment and it's just, you know, ugly looking until you get it drank down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Back to this guy we got here. Yeah, cinnamon for. What's that?
So like I said, I always start with clarity, just because you're pouring, you're seeing it, you swirl it, you get the legs.
Yep.
So it's still, there's no carbonation. It's definitely got some legs. There's like holding up to light. Just a slight haze to it. It's nothing horrible. Like, I give it a 4, 5.
I say 4 or 5. You know, can't really. I feel like appearance is one of those things that's so super subjective. Like, what would be the difference between like a 4 and a 5 and a 6? You know what? You know, to get like really down into the 3 and 4 range for me, like you'd have to have like floating particulates and stuff in it.
Like
that's a 6 all day. Okay, now that's a 6 all day long. There's nothing about it. I mean, I can count how many wrinkles are in your. I can count your tattoo rings. I can. If you were a tree, I could count your rings through that, my brother. No, I got you. And you're right. This is okay. You know what? You've proved your point. I agree with you. That is definitely by comparison to 4. It's a little bit hazy, and there might be a little bit something in there that is in suspension that might be on the micro level that is causing a general haze. So we go with that.
So
all right, appearance, we're going with the 4. Bouquet and aroma, though.
The complexity is there. You know, like I said, you're getting the cinnamon, the maple, vanilla, star anise.
Yep. All those things.
Cardamom, nutmeg.
Yep.
A little bit of like worn leather, not fresh leather, but like worn leather, how it kind of has like a little mustiness to it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. A little bit, yeah. Warm. I like that term, warm leather. Not like a full like that, like very pungent earthy leather, but like it's like a leather keychain out of your mom's purse or something like that.
Yeah.
It's worn, but it's not used up. Yeah, I like that. Definitely getting all that. Like it almost like I said, like Chinese spice, all the pie spices, everything comes through there. Like to be honest, I'm actually having a little bit of a hard time picking up anything like that might be apple flavored. Other than that, I'm so accustomed to assigning these flavors with apple pie. I don't know if it's like my brain tricking me into thinking that there's an apple in there, or if I'm actually getting something. And then again, without knowing what type of honey variety in there, if it's like a...
It's bright, and I think that brightness is that the apple character. Like, think of like a Pink Lady, or like a mix between a Pink Lady and a Granny Smith. Just how it's bright.
Got you. On that backside, it's adding that like natural sweetness to it that isn't coming from a honey, but it is coming like with a bit of the tartness to it itself.
Like not that you can smell the acidity, but like it's just like a brightness. Like
but again, I think
you can get.
I say it.
If it's over acidic, you can definitely get it, but
sure.
Like the like when you taste the mead and like, yeah, it's acidic, but it's bright, the aroma's like the same way, you're getting the flavor aromas and it's bright, it's in your face, it seems fresh.
The flavors that are there are balanced very well. It like the desire for me to want to drink it is there. It tastes it smells like very much in reminiscence of like a country fair, like apple cider or something like that, like something that was like fresh pressed and mulled this morning, like ready to go.
Gandalf.
So leather, is that an imperfection, or I forget which one is oxygen? I believe both can be an imperfection or just a characteristic depending on like honey variety and style. Like oxidization in a Polish is certainly not going to be an imperfection. It's going to be a characteristic. But in like especially in like a young mead, yeah, definitely oxidization is going to be a flaw. Leather, again, I think also certainly based on your honey varietals and yeast and everything like that, is going to vary greatly. But from my understanding,
leather is also not always imperfection, because like my oak bochet, that comes across with leather notes as well in the aroma, but it's not oxidized.
Right.
I treat my meads very carefully. I sulfite them when racking, or if they're sitting for longer periods of time to reduce the oxidization and stuff like that. So sometimes it's just a combination of aromas and flavors that can give you a leather
type of
aroma or flavor.
Sure.
So for aroma, it's based on what? 10 points? No.
Yeah. Aroma is a 10 points, based on honey expression, alcohol. Now, that's one thing I don't get in here. Like, it doesn't smell hot to me at all. I barely get maybe a slight warmth of alcohol, like a little bit of like todiness at the end there, but
right at the end.
Correct. Yeah, like a sherry wine, something like that, Gandalf.
I get just like a small amount of alcohol, but the way the flavors play together, the way they're coming across. I'd give this a good 8.
I'd go 7 or 8. I'd like to see, again, without knowing what the honey varietal is in it, if I should be looking for anything beyond that, if it was like a clover honey, I would actually probably give it a little bit bump, because you are getting that cinnamon characteristic coming through from like that clover varietal. But if it was, something somehow got like a buckwheat, I was like, I'm not getting any funkiness out of this. But yeah, I think an 8's a solid score for this.
So, like they tell you, if it's not disclosed, you standard
wildflower
with wildflower.
Yep.
So, just trying to pick out like a varietal on it, like
probably not happening.
No, just with the maple in there, the cinnamon, just the way everything's coming across. It's the apple juice.
Yep. Now, I would like to ask John how he applied the maple to this, if he's still in the chat there. Because I would be interested to know if it was maple in primary and secondary, if it was maple syrup that he added in, if it was like, because John, he is known as the Mad Meader, so it could be very equally as maple syrup as it is maple candy, as it is maple, probably not maple extract, but any other variety of maple confections of any site. It says definitely maple in primary and in secondary. So that definitely seals why it's so maple forward and cinnamon forward in there. All right, you ready to get into this a little bit?
Waiting on you.
I have to admit, given John's background, I didn't know what to think. I was partially scared that this might be some sort of like wild concoction, but I'm pleasantly surprised with. I'm pleasantly surprised with this, man. I get like a light, very nice apple, juicy type of apple across. It doesn't like the apple doesn't come like feel like it's like pre-cinnamon or anything like that. It definitely feels like the apple and like the spices are separate from the apple, but they marry together in a nice blend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do get like a smoked apple. It's coming across like a smoked apple, or baked apple, however you want to look at it. But there is like a little smoke. There is a little smokiness to it. Now that I taste it, I can definitely tell you it's a spicy cinnamon. Because like when you drink it and you swish it into the front of your mouth, look for the sensation on your gums, and you can usually tell if it's spicy or just sweet cinnamon. And right at the top of my gums, I can tell it's spicy cinnamon.
It's like Big Five gum. No, I agree with you there. Definitely a spicy cinnamon. I like it. I'm interested to know what where the smoke came from. If he actually like smoked the apples, he said it was I believe he said it was an apple juice. Unless I was saying he was saying they used 48 ounces of maple, which seems like 48 ounces. That's a lot of maple. Holy cow! But
well, it depends on it depends on how big of a batch it was. Did he say how big it was?
That's a negative, Ghost Rider. He most definitely did not say how big of a batch it was. At least not to me initially. I try not to ask too much about it because I try to go into these things as blind as possible. He may have told me in a past like text or something, but I didn't go back and look through it again specifically because I'm trying to go into this as blind as possible. But that being said, man, the smoke comes through like you said, just like a nice lightly smoked apple, almost like if you take some apples and cut them in half and throw them out on the fucking Traeger and let them like smoke for a little bit or something like that.
Take the hogmouth apple after you smoke it. Mm-hmm. That's what it tastes like.
Definitely. And then the cinnamon, like you said, other than like where you get it like initially in the front of your mouth and stuff, like it doesn't like burn on the tongue. You don't get any like nice, like there's no astringency to it. Like I don't get any puckering or anything like that. Seems to be fairly well balanced between sweetness and tannins. If anything, I could say I could use a little more tannins, and it doesn't seem like it's seems like it's a little sweeter. Not to say flabby, but certainly I guess just lacking tannins.
Yeah. So he says it's a 2-gallon batch and 48 ounces of maple in primary and 48 post fermentation.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah. Now that I would almost question, is this almost like a apple maple wine or something like that versus like a maple cider or something? I mean, regardless of what we're going to get into technical terms, I'm very happy with the way. I mean, this tastes phenomenal. I could drink this all day long. This is an easy sipper. He didn't put the percentage on this one, but I'll tell you what, man, I could easily drink this, no problem, no problem.
Yeah, he says, let's see, what did he say? Use
he doesn't have his nose.
California forest fire while it was in the bochet. So this is bochet as well. See, that's where I think the leather notes are coming from, is the bochet process. Because like
which notes?
The leather notes.
Oh, okay.
Is from the bochet process because I get the same thing out of my bocets. My bochet segment. So again, this is bochet and it has maple in it, so I get the same notes that come across. So.
And what are you bochetting with? Are you doing like a pot on low boil? Are you doing like the old like plug-in slow cooker style? How are you doing that?
No, I got an old pot that they make tamales in. Cleaned it out real good. pour all my honey in there, and for me the key is a canning thermometer, and then you got to take it on and off the heat to maintain the temperature. I keep mine around 220 degrees Fahrenheit, which is why when I'm doing this experiment, because of a couple of research papers that I wrote as to what my hypothesis is causing stall. What people say are unfermentable sugars, it's actually a chemical that's found in the Bochet process. If you go past a certain temperature, that actually will kill the yeast off. So
there's a chemical that is produced by sugar when it's heated to a certain temperature that will cause yeast to die?
Yep.
And what was your hypothesis, if I might ask?
And because the thought for the longest time was, it produces unfermentable sugar when you Bochet. Well,
unfermentable sugar, okay.
Yeah. Well, after reading several research papers, I've said it several times in several interviews, I'm a huge scientific nut when it comes to like anything fermentation. Like I read the white papers on the dumbest things that people don't imagine. And so I found several research papers on Bochets or caramelized honey, and it produces two compounds, HMF, it's a long name, starts with 5-hydromorph. So, but shorthand is HMF. HMF and furfural, those are the two compounds that are produced from the breakdown of fructose, which is the majority of the sugar content in honey. You know, you got your glucose, the sucrose, and your fructose. Well, the fructose breaks down at 230 degrees Fahrenheit and converts it to HMF. HMF is also found in old aged honeys through the Maillard reaction. So that's how they're able to tell if a honey is fresh or if it's been aged based on how much HMF it has in it. Well, when you caramelize it, it increases the HMF, and the studies have been shown that HMF and furfural will kill yeast off. Like once it goes past a certain point, which we're doing. The experiment is one set of honeys be Bochet at 220, another one's at 260, and the other one's gonna be at whatever a rolling boil is, which I think is above 290, or 300, I think. But we're
Sure.
I'll record the temperature and pass that along as well. But at 260 and above, the HMF and furfural increase dramatically, and that's actually causing yeast. Now, some yeast have adapted to HMF and furfural that it can ferment it through, but other yeast that have not adapted to it will die off. And some of the research papers show that once it passes a certain point, it won't even start fermentation at all.
That's crazy. So so that's a natural thing that occurs through the heating process when you're converting. Does it happen with other sugar types? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's honey or if it's, cane sugar or anything like that. Whatever sugar type is heated up to above 230, then 260, and so on, is just going to increase the amount of HMF that's produced.
Pretty much.
Dang, that's crazy. So, side note to that, do you follow any commercial mead makers? I mean, many or?
I've followed damn near all of them.
So Four Fires up there in Ohio, their head mead maker, Chris Clark, he did a 1,000-hour Bochet. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, what do you think the effects on that? He said it basically turned out like black glass by the end, like as far as like texture and like visual appearance.
The key is temperature. Without actually knowing what the temperatures, but a lot of the commercial ones that I follow, anytime they're doing Bochets, a lot of times it's in in barrels or whatever. Like they heat the barrels up with barrel heaters, and that
Sure.
usually gets up to about 160 to 180 degrees. So that's still below the 230 threshold.
I'd say that's pretty generous. Like, if you can get up to 160 with barrel heaters, that's pretty fucking high.
It's going to take you all week, but yeah.
Yeah. But I would think that you would need something closer, like you were saying. And again, I can never pronounce it. Is it the Milliard effect? That's basically the same effect that happens like when you char meat and stuff like that, correct?
I don't know, to be honest.
It sounds, if it's not, it sounds very similar. But it's like that basically it's that heating of the sugars and changing their structure and changing the way that they operate and the way that they interact with other chemicals compared to how they used to. See, we got a couple comments here. Said Yorktown says 100% believe that my bouchets have stopped very high because I caramelized my honey nearly to blacks. Yeah, so if you're gonna, apparently if you're gonna caramelize your honey to beyond recognition as honey, you might want to. So what would you suggest to somebody who's tried that? I mean, I haven't got into the boucher process, but what do you do when you've got a honey that won't that you want to use, that you've spent all this time bouching, but it just won't kick over? I mean, switch to a yeast type that is suited for that and repitch, or just scrap it and start over.
If you want a darker boucher, all you really need to do is you can still keep it at a lower temperature. Like I said, I keep mine about 220. You just need to boucher it for a longer time, because it'll still brown, it'll still darken, it'll still caramelize the sugars. It's a longer process. It's going to take longer than if you just crank the heat up and hey, let's go to town, baby. But you can still get to the same result. It's just going to take longer. But keeping at a lower temperature, you're keeping those compounds down. So
it's like with your barbecue, man. You got to do it low and slow, baby. You don't want to try to rush the process. Just low, slow, let it do its thing and get all the flavors you need out from it that way.
Yep. So,
absolutely.
Anyways, yeah, that's a whole video thing experiment that I got coming out, hopefully in about a month and a half.
So what that means is everybody needs to go over onto the YouTube, subscribe to Texas Longhouse Mead, and so when he comes out with these comes out with these boucher videos, you'll already be on point. You'll get them on the notify and all that stuff, and you'll already be there when they come out. So, thanks for showing up, Three Hands Mead. Appreciate you. So yeah, like I said, all in all, I'm highly impressed with this one. Flavor, sweetness, like I said, it could use a little more tannins for me personally. The sweetness is right where it needs to be. It didn't specify, again, on the label that I was given whether it was sweet, semi-sweet, or dry, but I'm definitely going with the sweetness, a sweet mead, leaning on this, possibly even leaning towards sack sweetness. Again, a little bit out of balance. I could use some more tannins in there, possibly a pinch more acidity, just because, like natural apple has that like acidity bite to it. But
yeah, like I get it on the back of my tongue, right on the edges. So I get the acidity, but I get the acidity first, and the sweetness comes through. Like they kind of not fight with each other, but they're like kind of right there with each other.
Yeah.
And then like it's lacking a little bit of tannin, so like the off balance from the tannins there could definitely sat on the oak a little bit longer or add some more to it.
Yep, I definitely agree with that 100%. The aftertaste is nice, though. I mean, it lingers for a good 4, 5, 6 seconds, and you get that nice continued flavor. At no point does it ever go off or anything like that. I'm not picking any flaws out of it or anything at the end there.
So this is out of 15, right?
This is out of, well, by BJCP, this is out of 24 for flavor.
And overall is
10.
So 24.
So, yeah, I'm going with a solid, 20, 21.
Yeah, like I said, for me, I was gonna say 18. Just because like the tannin, like it's not cloying and it's not over acidic, but they're both of them are up here, and the tannins are so low on it that it
out of balance.
Yeah, it's out of balance, and so it's kind of it's kind of taken away from the overall experience of it. like I said, some more tannins will definitely help this along. And I want to say, you said it was 2 months old, so it's still relatively young, I think. I don't get any alcohol burn, which is really good.
That's true.
And for 48 ounces, fluid ounces of maple syrup post fermentation, it's not cloying at all.
Yeah, it's definitely. You know what? I say we split the difference. 2018, call it a 19.
I'll give you that.
All right. And then, like you said, overall impression, I do believe that that difference there between the acidity, the sweetness, the tannins being out of balance definitely takes away from the overall.
I'm at a 6, 7 for it.
On the overall, yeah, I'd say I'm at. I wanted to say a 7, but like I really genuinely only get the maple in the nose. I don't really get any maple really coming across in the flavor. Not enough necessarily. Like you call it a maple cinnamon when I smell it all day long. Maple cinnamon when I drink it, it's much more like a lightly spiced cider or like a lightly spiced cyser or something like that. I don't get a whole lot of maple or cinnamon characters.
Well, like I get the maple. It's more of like a not so much rich, but it's also not dark. Because I use, I got a whole half gallon sitting here of rich maple syrup, and then I have another crown maple syrup, and it's bourbon barrel aged. So I use maple syrup by the gallon. And then for back sweetening, I use half gallons. So
now this very well could be the difference between something like the two things that you just showed were very much, again, for lack of terminology, artisan, craft. John very well could have used high-end something you got at the grocery store. Maybe the most expensive thing you get at the grocery store that's still legitimate maple syrup, but still, unfortunately, grocery store level as to where you'd probably pick those up from, either the farm directly or somebody who was like a maple broker, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So, I get the maple is definitely there, but it all comes across much more as like a lightly maple cyser. Like the apple is definitely the main character. The cinnamon and the maple are definitely the secondary characteristics, and certainly the cinnamon and spice before the maple.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But yeah, so I agree with that on the 6. I don't remember what we say on the bouquet and aroma. Where we we got a 7 on that. 7 out of 10.
It was like 7 or 8.
10. I think we were at an 8 out of 10 on that one.
Yeah, it was
pretty high. So let's call that an 8 out of 10. So 8 and 5 is 13. 13 and 6 is 19. 19 and 19 is the 38. That's the 38 out of 50. That's a respectable score, man.
Yeah.
Definitely digging that one for the old smoky cyser, maple cinnamon with a, now this might mean something to you, a C1/23 yeast. I've never experienced that or worked with it or even to be heard of it, to be honest with you.
CL23. I forget who makes it, but when you look at the, if you look at the yeast packet, it's white, it has like a blue line across it, and right above it in blue letters, it'll say CL. Oh, CL23. It says Carlos likes it. I can definitely tell. Keep on saying, and I like it too. I'm just. The 38.
What, I need to tug the rest of it?
Yeah, the 38 is definitely a good sipper. With some minor tweaks, some minor balances. For competition wise, yeah. But hey,
yeah.
Like tonight we're getting down to 59, which is in Texas, it's a big deal. I'd go sit outside with that and just kick back by a fire.
Yeah, I think tonight, our low is like 79, 80, 81, somewhere in there. And yeah, and I'll drink this. I sit out and drink. I'll drink it right here in my freaking living room. I don't give a fuck. I mean, it's drinkable. It might not be, like you said, enough to take a gold from like Mazer Cup, but on just overall drinkability, it's very pleasant. I like it. I drink another 6-pack of them.
Yeah. So I'm gonna grab that raspberry real quick.
All right, all right. So the other one that John sent us was another old smoky ciser. So I'm hoping or assuming or thinking it has that same ciser base, but this one is maple raspberry. Now I can't say that I've personally had a lot of maple raspberry combos in the past. Maybe like a maple raspberry candy or something like that in like a holiday chocolates or like gift box or something like that. But maple and raspberry are not something I personally have seen a whole lot, being like a growing up in Seattle area and basically spending the majority of my time on the West Coast. Maybe all East Coasters, that's like a daily driver or something. I don't know. But definitely excited to try that one. So yeah, I've got that one, the maple raspberry old smoky ciser. It's hard to tell with the straight up on the green bottle. It said 38 out of 50, so I'll definitely enter that into a competition.
Well, if you haven't fully bottled it yet, either throw some more oak in there, let it sit a little bit longer, just to kind of blend everything together.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my input.
Let me ask you your opinion on this. So I was talking to a couple different cats and following some guys that have been some big award winners lately, and those cats are putting oak in their primary, medium, light toast, all this stuff. Are you doing any of that as well?
For some, yeah.
I'm digging that. Just on like the even on like, for like I'm doing like 1 gallon batch and stuff. Even if I'm only adding like a quarter ounce or something during primary, it seems to be helping instill that tannin. Like it lets me so I don't know how to put it. It lets it so I can be done aging quicker, I guess is the better way to put it. It imparts those tannins earlier so I can be done sooner. I don't know. It probably sounds stupid. Everyone's like, yeah, dumbass, that's how it works.
No, well, yeah, you're putting the oak in sooner, so it's fermenting with the oak. It's developing the flavor sooner. Especially depending on the oak you're using. If you're using cubes, if you're using spirals, chips, they all add their oak
different
rates because of the surface area.
Oh.
So, like if it's a recipe that I've done before, and I'm like, all right, this one I know for sure I oak it. Then yeah, I'll throw the oak in primary with the during the fermentation. And the good thing about oak too, sometimes if you have some meads that are a little hazy or a little stubborn and clear, you'd be surprised that if you throw some oak into it, oak actually helps mead clear.
Yeah, and now I've heard that it has a little bit of that, for lack of a better term, pectic enzyme type of effect to it, where it'll help like clarify some of those.
Now it depends on the haze. It doesn't, it's not going to work on everything. So it depends on your haze. But actually, adding oak can help clear your mead.
Can help a little bit.
Better than none.
Hey, I'll take that all day.
And you're getting your tannins and whatnot added to it. And if you add too much tannins, the best way to balance that out is add a little bit more sweetness and some more acidity. There you go.
Yep. All right, fresh glass. Here we go. Let's get into this second bottle here. Pop this. I did not. Oh, he's already on top of me. Now, this one not very. There we go. Not quite as fragrant. When I popped this one, the other one straight away, like the maple blasted, hit me in the nose. I put my nose up on the bottle. I definitely get the raspberry, and I like that it's like a true raspberry character. It doesn't like come across like candied. It doesn't come across artificial extract, anything like that. Definitely has like a nice true raspberry, or at least dark berry, red berry character to it, which I'm super happy about.
Yeah.
It says 4.5 pounds of raspberries. Well, yeah, then I would hope that it definitely has that characteristic to it. Was this again another 2 gallon batch? Because 4.5 pounds to 2 gallons. Seems a bit on the light side, which would explain the lack of deep red hue to this compared to somebody like a Shram's or you know, a lot of those commercial cats that are doing these berry bombs. You know, those guys are putting in 4.5, 5.5 pounds of fruit per gallon to this. So if he's only doing 4.5 pounds for a 2-gallon batch, which is what his last one was, that again would explain the lack of like deep red raspberry hue to it.
You said he split the 2-gallon batch into 2 1-gallon batches, so that's 4.5 pounds for 1 gallon.
Wow. And then that makes me really man, that makes me really curious on if I ever do a raspberry one in the future, do I need to use more than 4.5 pounds for 1 gallon? Because if that's all the red that you got out of 4.5 pounds, I mean.
Well, you also got to remember, too, if you added 48 ounces of maple syrup to it, that's going to change the color of it.
Oh, that's true. You know what? I did forget that as well. That is also the maple one. So if he added the 48 ounces plus the maple, that is going to, man, good eyeballs, Carlos, and good memory, because I'm not there right now, apparently. But, because I don't get nearly the maple that I did on the other one, and clearly no cinnamon. But I guess the maple to cinnamon ratio on the other one was significantly more imbalanced than the maple to raspberry ratio on this one.
Yeah.
And this one was, the other one was Bochet? Or they're both Bochet?
The whole process was Bochet.
Okay, so it was Bochet, then he put the cinnamon in the other one, and then this one's just the raspberry after the fact.
Yeah, so it's going to darken it up no matter what. So, like, holding up to light, I get like a red hue, but like the Bochet process, the maple syrup, that's going to take away from that red hue.
Yeah, mine almost actually comes out like a deep, like a medium to dark amber color. I guess I can maybe the slightest, almost like an amber beer leaning type of color hue to it. But yeah, I'm definitely getting a lot more of the smokiness in this one than I was the other one.
Yeah.
A little bit of the raspberry comes through on the nose there when I tilt it forward, but not nearly as much as just like I'm getting a lot more raspberry straight up off the bottle than I am after I had the chance to breathe and everything like that. So I don't know what that necessarily means, but yeah, no, straight away here, it's all that maple and that smokiness. The raspberry becomes very subtle straight away.
Well, for me, I got a wider glass than you, and of course, I filled up a little bit more. So yeah, I can swirl it, and so when I swirl it, you're able to get a lot of more aromatics to come out.
Sure.
So I get a lot more raspberry and smoke, and not as much maple as like the other one.
Yeah, I do get a little bit of swirl going on here, and I can definitely get the brightness burst out of it a little bit more. So yeah, imagine if I had a wider surface and a little more aromatic, a little bit more, aerating going on, I would probably pick those up as well. So definitely, so again, appearance, that I would put it on the same par, with the other one as far as appearance, give it we're calling that a 4 on the appearance.
Well, this one is a little bit more hazier.
Actually, it looked like I got a little floaty in there, if I'm being honest. Now, to be fair, I always hate saying that because, I never, did I really clean my glass good enough? Did I get all, the little, when I dried it off to get all the little paper towel things off of there? But, you see more than 1 or 2 in there. I'll give you that. Let's definitely call it hazier than the other one. So I'm definitely leaning towards a 4 on this one, a solid 4.
Yeah.
Bouquet and aroma, again, honey character without knowing, we got to go back to default standard. It does have a nice sweetness character that comes out. Not really getting any ethyl or alcohol characteristics to it. The apples come through, a nice light blend of the maple. I'm giving this a 7.
See, I'm not picking up the maple like I did this first one.
And that's crazy how it works with the different shaped glasses and the different surface area of it. Now, when I go to the bottle, all I pick up out of the bottle is raspberry.
Well, this one is the that maple cinnamon one.
Okay, I got mine right here. My maple cinnamon one.
And so I get the maple, and I get the cinnamon, then the smoke, then like the apple. And this one, I don't get maple at all. I get the raspberry and I get the smoke, but I'm not getting any maple out of it.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're 100% right. Man, I hope you get a much better score on your fucking test than I did, because you're kicking ass and I suck. You're awesome. I suck. You're cool. I'm lame. No, but you're 100% right. The raspberry, you get the apple tartness even comes through, like that apple cidery juice type of characteristic, but there's almost no maple that comes through on the nose. Now, I mean, a 7 out of 10 is already pretty, I mean, fairly on the low. You want to blast them down to a 6 out of 10 on something like that? I mean,
it you know.
Is it only because he disclosed it as a maple raspberry?
Yeah.
Not a raspberry maple?
Well, like I said, I'm not getting any maple out of it, period, for the aroma.
No,
So, you know, for like,
yeah.
And maple is a very, very pungent aroma. Now, you know, that's like, you're kind of, you know, depending on who it is, like you're nitpicking, you know, there's several factors that go into like the score, the complexity. Like, so for the complexity, again, you know, you're telling me it's a smoked maple raspberry ciser. All right, spot on, cool, let's get it. I get the raspberry, I get the smoke.
Yep.
Like that,
yeah.
like that maple cinnamon. You know, the complexity was there. I was getting star anise, I was getting leather, I was getting nutmeg, vanillas,
yeah,
stuff like that. So the complexity was there. This one, all I have is smoke and raspberry.
Yeah. If you hunt for it, you can probably, like you said, probably pick out the brightness from the apples in there. But yeah, no, you're right. They're 100% right. The compared to the other one, even bottle to raspberry bottle to cinnamon bottle, I mean, it's a no-brainer. That cinnamon one has the maple characteristics in there balanced. The raspberry one doesn't. That's
but you know, so you know, yeah, okay. You told me it's a ciser, smoked, maple, raspberry. Cool. Well, I'm only picking up the smoke.
3 of the 4.
You know, I'm not getting a whole lot of apple flavor. I'm not getting a lot of maple or flavor aroma. I'm not getting a lot of maple aroma. The complexity isn't just like the other one. You know, it's, you know.
Yeah, like I said, I feel if you like really search around and like you can get the apple characteristics in there, but it does take some hunting and pecking. But you search around and yeah, the maple is just not there.
So.
Yeah, 6 out of 10 on the bouquet and aroma, only because that's a lot of characteristics it's claiming that aren't unfortunately delivering on the.
Yeah, like the complexity's missing. You know, I'm only getting 2 aromatics out of it, off of something that should be, you know, huge.
Twice as vibrant as it is.
You know, especially going with the that maple cinnamon, and then coming to this one, like you're like, and it kind of fell off.
Yeah, and like I said, especially when you go bottle to bottle, you can that maple just so much stands out in that maple cinnamon one, and then that's just it's all raspberry and a little bit of apple in there, and yeah. All right, let's get into that. Let's get into the old taste on that.
So this one, I'm getting a little bit more smoke that comes through. The apple flavor is definitely a little bit more prominent over the first one. The maple is kind of like it's there, but it's like kind of on the backslide of it.
Yep.
And the raspberry
is almost an afterthought.
Yeah, like I'm not getting a whole lot of raspberry. Even 4.5 pounds in a gallon, that's a lot. And
Right,
it's
exactly.
Like the smoke and the apple flavor are definitely come crashing through. Like, hey, like the Kool-Aid man, hey, we're here. But the maple and the raspberry are just like those two are like the two guys that are valet parking. Hey, we'll be in a minute.
Right, yeah, exactly. They're still valet parking out back while Apple Ciser and it has already come busting through the door. And man, I was really hoping for more, like you said, of the raspberry to come carrying through with there, especially at 4.5 pounds. And even to that same regard, though, I was expecting the maple to come carrying through a little bit more at the 48 ounces in a gallon.
Yeah.
To me, it tastes just like a phenomenal. Like, if you were to tell me this is, hey, I got a spice ciser, I'd be like, man, this is a phenomenal spice ciser. I don't know what spice you put in this, what you did different, but this spice ciser is like, or even a smoky ciser, smoky spice ciser or something. But yeah, adding the maple and the raspberry are definitely afterthoughts, certainly in the nose, and unfortunately even more so in the flavor. Too many flavors competing for more of a front-forward taste. That very well may be. Raspberry.
Raspberries are tart too, so I was expecting like the tartness to come through, and there's like the only tartness I'm getting is like ciser tartness.
Yeah, there's a little bit of, like you said, like same with the other one. There's like a little bit on the outside edges of your tongue, but there's like no astringency. There's none of that like dark berry, like punch you in the back of the throat type of, even just like a hint of it or like a dusting of it. It just doesn't come through. But again, the flavors that are there that do come through are very pleasant. I wouldn't say there's any flaws or anything funky going on. It just it's a lot of sweet with not a whole lot of acidity, and certainly could use a lot more, or certainly significant amount more tannins to be in balance as well.
Yeah, but the smoke is definitely coming through on it, so that the charred oak is coming through, but the tannin from it, I think that the charred oak might have been a little too much charred, depending on how it was charred. Like I know you said he got it from the California fires, but like if the whole thing is charred, you're going to start missing some of the tannins that you can pull from it. So
yeah. And he said the other one was at 12%. And when I get this on the retro, like I'm expecting it to get me like a little bit of bite of the alcohol, and I'm not getting any of that at all. So I'm wondering if this one was maybe fermented up to 12% and then dialed back significantly from 12, through back sweetening and whatever else.
The back sweetening, and then you have the water content that's coming from the raspberries that's going to water it down some more. So
got you.
Like it still has some significant legs to it. So you can definitely tell that there's some sugar in there. It's missing the tannin aspect of it, even though there are some in there, which is helping with the legs. But it's not helping with the overall flavor, the overall mouthfeel. This is, for me, this is on the verge of being cloying.
Yeah. What's up, I drink beer? I've been a hot minute since, sorry, the homie I drink beer on there. I hadn't seen her in a hot minute. But no, you're right.
It's on the verge of being cloying. So I think the back sweetening with the maple syrup, the sugar content that's coming from the raspberries, even though it's missing the tartness that I was hoping for from raspberries.
Yeah,
I'm not getting a whole lot.
No.
So
now, I just went back and poured me some of the maple cinnamon. And here we are, like a little bit, that, again, maple, cinnamon, apple, everything. This one, a little bit of raspberry, a little bit of apple, I'm just, yeah, I can't.
It's like I said, it's on the verge of being cloying. Like it's
Yep.
the sweetness is definitely up there, but it's missing the acidity that I was expecting from raspberry. It's missing the tannins.
Yeah. Yeah, if I was genuinely giving this one a score sheet, my first comment on how to potentially improve this would be, yeah, add tannins before acidity. Add some tannins, see where that gets you, and then dial in your acidity from there, because it does have some brightness from the raspberries and the apples, like you said. But yeah, the tannins are definitely in.
The tannins can just come from just sitting longer on oak. Depending on how much oak, the type of oak. If it's
Sure.
overly charred, throw the charred oak in there so that way you do get that smokiness, but throw some just toasted oak in there so that way you get the tannins from the toasted oak while still getting the char smokiness from the charred oak.
Yeah.
But for me, if I was trying, to try to say how are we going to make this, how can you potentially make this better? The raspberry flavor is for me just significantly lacking from what I was expecting. 4.5 pounds
Yep.
in a gallon. It's just the sweetness is there, but I'm not getting the maple syrup. Like that's where the sweetness is. I imagine is coming from is the maple syrup, but I'm not getting the maple.
Right.
So probably dial the maple sweetness down a little bit.
Yep.
Back sweetening, maybe with some of the caramelized honey and maple syrup together, so that way you get more of a complexity flavor that comes through. But bring down the sweetness a little bit. The raspberry wants some more raspberry flavor to come through, and then of course some tannins. Because like I said, this is on the verge of cloying. I'm not getting the tartness from raspberries. So like, unfortunately for me, I'm at
an 18.
Well, it tastes good. It's unbalanced.
Yeah.
And
like I said, I'm at an 18 out of 24 for me personally.
I hate to do it to you, John, but for me, I'm at like a 12, 13. Just because like the balance of it is so far out, and it's only like not two-dimensional, but especially compared to that first one. If you didn't say, hey, these are from John or anything, you just gave them to me in a flight, that first one blew it out of the water, and this one's like,
oh, hands down. Yeah, that maple cinnamon, that one, it did what, like, a 38 out of a 40. I feel like that's a confident score. I feel like almost any pair of judges at Valkyrie's Horn, Mazer Cup, any of the big AMMA competitions, that thing's going to score 36 plus.
Yeah. And
this one,
like I said, I'm at like a 12, 13, just because it's, even though it's damn near the same one, just the way the flavors and the combination of everything work together in that one. And the only thing that's changed in this one is the raspberries.
Right.
The complexity is not there. It's overly sweet, not as tart as I was hoping for raspberries. I'm not getting any tartness, really, any acidity from it. And the tannin is just lacking in it. So. Yep.
Agreed. You're giving it a 13. I'm giving it an 18. I mean, that's a mutual like 14, 15. Let's give it on the. Unfortunately, we have to round down on this one. I call it a 14 in that regard. And through your arguments, yeah, I agree with you. It does what it's very much in line with your assessment there. So overall, like you said, it is pleasant to drink. It doesn't come across bad across the palate. Again, there's no flaws in it. But does it hit like the stylistic characteristics? Does it hit all the different other, everything it's supposed to? Otherwise, overall, I'm at a 7 only because it is pleasant to drink. It does taste good. everything. I mean, that's like a 6.9 type of 7. It could very easily go down to a 6 out of 7.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
especially
me,
compared to the other one.
yeah, for me, yeah.
Again, I'm trying to err in the favor of cats, like without, you know, give them the benefit of the doubt, so to speak, for lack of a better terminology. But I
Yeah.
mean, like, if you want to give this one, you know, if someone were to give this one a 5 out of 10, I certainly would understand that. I mean, there's you name it, the smoky maple raspberry cyser, and it's delivering at best 50% of the time.
Yeah, like I said, for me, like it's just the balance is not completely off. It's just so like it's missing it that it's throwing me off. Yeah, like if you didn't tell me what it was, you're like, hey, just try this mead. Hey, it's that's a good mead. It's a
Right.
decent mead. I would definitely drink it again. For me that's,
Yep.
that's like I've been going back to the cut. So yes, I will continue to drink it. It's not
Yep.
one where I've had some where I'll drink one and I'm going to babysit this one for a little bit. That one, I'll continue to drink.
Yeah.
But for competition-wise, it's missing the mark, and for me, it had to be like a 5.
And that's perfectly understandable, and I completely agree with that. And I think that actually lets it be a lesson to anybody, or a piece of advice to anybody who's entering stuff into competition. More information isn't always better. Sometimes just throw it in with the most rudimentary, only the bare minimum level of descriptions on there, and let the judge's palate do the rest. You put too many descriptors in there, and you start adding.
You're giving them something to look for, and it's missing, and that's what's going to cost you points.
100%. So, both of these very pleasant. Both of them very drinkable. But all in all, the maple cinnamon, hands down, the clear winner of the night. So that one was a 38. This one, my score, I come out with a 28 out of 50. I think yours was probably 2 or 3 points lower than that, probably closer to like a 24, 25 ish, if memory serves and everything like that. But all in all, I like I said, are they drinkable? Yes, and that's what's the real. Like, if John had handed me for these, no label on them, nothing. Hey, Merry Christmas, man! Here's a phenomenal bottle of mead. I would be so ecstatic. I would drink that. I would share it with my friends and family at the holiday season, and there would not be a word brought up about it being this or that or the other thing. It would just be wonderful and shared, and that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. All right, we are well over the 1 hour mark here. I think we're coming up on hour and a half mark here, hour and 23 minutes. So I do appreciate your time, Brother Carlos. Always love having you on here, and I'm dying to meet you, A, in person, and B, at a judging event. Hope we can get at a table together and do something like this in person, because I think it would be just ridiculously fun.
Yeah.
So anybody out there, go give Carlos a follow. Texas Longhouse Meads on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, over on the YouTube. Give his channel a follow. He's got the cyser video, or the Bochet video, sorry, coming out hopefully. And my personal favorite on his, the banana. Go watch his video about the banana meads, banana primary, banana secondary, both. Go watch it. You get an education if you haven't already done the banana stuff. Also, give me a follow if you haven't already, here on the Instagrams, over on the YouTube, also over on the Facebook as well. I also appreciate that. And then our man John, the Mad Meader Duncan. If you're on the Facebooks, go give the Micro Meads and Homebrewers Facebook channel a follow, join, have a good attitude, and you'll pretty much be welcome in the group. Nobody is in there is about having anybody who's trying to be a jerk in there. Just come in, like I said, have a good attitude, bring in positive content. You would get positive feedback back, and it's a great community. So appreciate everybody stopping by tonight. Thank you, Yorktown Brews. Appreciate your content and showing up tonight. And that's an hour and a half of video. That's a lot of meat talk, especially for just a random Tuesday in the middle of your week. So But appreciate everybody, and see you guys all on the posts and everything like that. So everybody have a wonderful evening. Peace. Thanks, Carlos. Have a good one, brother.
Let's go.
Skull. Uh-oh.